All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Fill Me In Pod, where we dive deeper into the world of aesthetics. I am Jon.
And Nicole.
Yeah, and we have an exciting guest today. Her name is Denisse Serrano. Hi, Denisse.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I know you have a crazy life, busy schedule, so thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I love chatting with my fellow colleagues about all things injectables and skin. So this is like fun for me. So thank you.
So I met you through Nicole of the Skin Vive Train the Trainer very briefly.
Yes.
So I'm excited to get to know you more today.
I love it. Yes. I remember. Yay.
Yeah, and me and Denisse are kind of in the same area. We're probably like, 40 minutes apart, but she is an injector in Bergen County.
Yep.
And tell us a little bit about that, because I think you recently kind of started at a new place, right? A year or so ago?
Yeah. So started my career out in New Jersey, actually. Let me backwards a little bit, reverse. So I started my career in emergency medicine. My husband was in the military. So we were bopping around and traveling throughout different states. And eventually we ended up in upstate New York, where I practiced emergency medicine. And then I decided I wanted a career change. I fell in love with aesthetics. And I applied to all the med spas and all the plastic surgery offices. I wasn't getting hired. So finally, I landed a job in Newark, New Jersey, primarily because I spoke Spanish and they really wanted a Spanish-speaking APP provider. So I ended up there, and that's where it all started. So I started in doing mostly medical dermatology and then a little bit of injectables. And then I transitioned over into a cosmetic dermatology practice in Manhattan. And that's where I was before Skin Spirit. And I was there for about 3.5 years. And I really feel like that's where I really grew in my career and my injectable skills and my laser skills, and really practiced with a world-renowned dermatologist who I love dearly and learned a lot from. And, I had a child, and it became really hard to commute into the city. And so I was trying to find an opportunity where I could continue to advance my skills, and education has always been like at the forefront of my mind. I love teaching and I love learning. And so I feel like Skin Spirit is the place where it's not like a chain med spa type of a place. It's somewhere that is really backed by education. And we have a medical advisory board, and we sit in every month and we review journal articles together, and we get to really think critically. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I decided to join Skin Spirit. And I'm really happy where I am in Park Ridge, New Jersey now. So I live in Bergen County, and it's really nice to not have like an hour and a half commute to work every day. Yes.
I feel that, because that was me commuting into Paramus 35 minutes every day. It's so nice to be like right by the office.
Yes. It was a little bit of a struggle bus, but I don't regret a single second. And I used to actually commute from like Peekskill, New York into Newark, New Jersey, 2 hours one way. But this is what I mean, God guys, bless. Like these baby injectors that like graduate nursing school, PA school, and are like, I want to be an injector. It's like the sacrifice that I put in to get to where I am today is like, it's crazy. And so I think that you got to put in a little bit of work if you want to be good at your craft.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely.
so true. And I feel like this is like a common theme, honestly, when we're meeting with a lot of people, when we're doing this, is they're all saying how hard, like it's a lot of work and sacrifice in order to get to where we are today.
Lots of sacrifice.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize too, it's not starting directly in aesthetic medicine. Like you had the emergency background, and even dermatology, that's huge. You learn so much about the skin and other conditions that help you with aesthetics as well.
For a solid year, the whole career, up until 9 months ago, I was still practicing a little bit of medical derm. Slowly but surely, it became like 80% cosmetic and like 10 to 20% medical. But I was like doing surgical excisions for basal cell cancers at least once a week. And so just like getting to know the skin from a deeper level and the layers of the skin has made me a way more thorough, better injector, understanding antiseptic techniques, all of those things. I don't take it for granted. And even every single day in my practice now, I still use my dermatology skills.
That's amazing. So you said you were in upstate New York.
I was.
Where in upstate New York?
I was. Well, it's not upstate, right? If you're from upstate New York, where I lived,
I'm central.
Okay.
I'm like in Syracuse.
So I lived in New Windsor. Do you know? It's right by Newburgh. Yeah.
Okay. No idea, but no, that's
Do you know the Woodbury Commons?
Oh, yes. Of course I do. Now you have to start talking about shopping centers, and then there we go.
So I was like 20 minutes.
I have to say, like, where Nicole is, it's Short Hills Mall.
Yes.
Right? Like, I have to.
There you go. Short Hills Mall. Yeah. This is like Woodbury Commons area.
Amazing. Yes. Okay.
But currently I live in the Garden State Plaza Mall area.
Oh, okay.
Another great mall.
Yes.
I love it.
Can't go shopping on Sunday though, right?
Yeah, I know. That's what sucks.
So how many years have you been injecting?
So I've been injecting for about 5 years now. So not like 10, 20, but what I tell my patients and even other injectors is if you can say you've been injecting for 25 years, but how often do you do it? So I truly feel like for the last 5 years, it's been what I do all day, every day. I've heard certain providers say, yeah, I've been doing this for 30 years, but it's like, okay, are you doing like one lip filler like a year, or are you doing it every single day? Because that repetition, it matters. It matters.
So important.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like, sympathize actually with your story because when I started, I was doing hospital medicine. I was a hospital nurse practitioner. I worked full time there, seeing patients 5 days a week. And then I literally worked 3 days a week, 4 to 7 p.m. after I would work. And then I would work Saturdays just to like get my foot in the door and also build my books and get my name out there a little bit. Yeah. And then once I was like, okay, I'm filling up and booking out, then I'm like, all right, I want to go more full time.
It's amazing.
And I think too, like for people going into it, and we've talked about this before, Nicole, like you can't just expect to be busy also when you start out. It takes time to build a book and you really have to put forth the effort. And social media is so important now, like when you're starting out. And if you're not active on social, it really does impact, I think, also you getting busier quicker.
And that's something that people should consider and think about before they decide, I want to be an injector. What I like to say to newbies that contact me through DM and are like, how did you get to where you are? It's a 24/7 job. And I say that for multiple reasons. Even if you're not a business owner, once you touch someone's face and it's a cosmetic procedure, they should have access to you 24/7 because you never know what's going to happen, vascular occlusions and whatnot. So there's just an open door policy as an injector 24/7. And then the second thing is social media. To your point, Jonathan, is all the time we're thinking about, I should be posting a story, I should be doing a reel, I should be doing a post. Like it lingers in the back of your mind. And we love it because clearly this is what we do. But for some people, that might not be what they want. And they can't expect to grow if they're not with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's something that as, a practice owner for myself, for my employees, I kind of set that bar and say, listen, I am doing so much for marketing. I can only do so much in my budget for marketing, which we do a lot for. But after that, it's up to you. Yeah. Right. And
I totally agree. And I do have a little bit of a unique role within Skin Spirit where I'm like the lead clinician. I help mentor the other, my other colleagues with me. And I try to talk to them about marketing and budgeting all the time too, and how, that daily post is what's going to help build and showing those before and afters. Yeah, you can only do so much.
Lucky. Yeah, we're so lucky to live in a time that we have social media too.
We are lucky. Yeah, I love how you are phrasing it that way because it's not a hindrance. It's free marketing and it's yours, right? Like at Skin Spirit, we don't say to people, don't put your logo on it. Everybody can use their own logo. So at the end of the day, it's your brand. So whether you want to stay with the company that you work with or not, it's your brand. It's the representation of you. And that's what's really helped me build strong relationships with my patients as well.
Absolutely. And I feel like too, even new patients, they feel like they know you before they even come in and see you.
That's
and I feel
so
like
nice.
That's so important too.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
And honestly, and you can be, and I think that we would all agree here, we can be a decent provider, right? Giving good outcomes, safe outcomes. But like if they really connect with you on social media, that's almost like, I got to come meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they, you know what I mean?
I totally agree. And I think how social media has helped me the most is my before and after results being natural attracts that crowd. So when I walk into the consultation room, I rarely have people that I share a different aesthetic eye with. Most of my people that want to see me tell me they want something very, very natural. So right off the bat, we're aligned with the outcome that we both want to achieve.
That's so true. So true.
So true. Hey guys, just popping in to remind you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Injector Jon and Aesthetic Nurse Nicole. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. I remember when I first I started about 5 years ago as well, Denisse. And when I opened up my practice 2.5 years ago, you know, Libby, like Social by Libby, like Injector Bunnies. Yeah. Who runs like all of her socials and stuff. She did, I think it was her and Erica did like like social media, like webinar thing.
Okay.
And I did it and it was so helpful, especially like on Instagram, like basically putting certain things in your bio, you know, like for mine, I have Jonathan LeSuer, Syracuse injector. Like there's certain things that like, if they search Syracuse Botox, like hopefully I come up first, you know what I'm saying? So it was really, really helpful. And she like kind of broke down the algorithm. I feel like we're starting to see way more injectors, but also maybe social media managers becoming more known and helping us out because like I said, social media is such a huge component to building your books.
Yeah, I've thought about hiring help before. I still think about it every day. And it's not because I don't love creating the content. Like I actually love creating the content and coming up with the ideas and writing the captions.
But you're a mom. And there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah, it's the video editing that, again, I'm not tech savvy. So if I could just get somebody to edit my videos for me and clip things together, that would be a tremendous help. But yeah, I am a mommy, and honestly, I don't know how I do it. To be quite honest, I feel like I used to post a lot more, but I fall off the bandwagon every now and again, and I got to remind myself to get back on.
Yeah, and I think we all do. You know, we go through our spurts of like every day, 10 stories a day, a post, or this or that, and then it's like a week where nothing happens.
Well, yeah, it's like all of a sudden you're like, your social meters run so low and you're almost like, I need a day or two.
Yes.
But if there's anyone to ask about social media, it's definitely Denisse. She's got like 20,000 followers on Instagram, 20,000 on TikTok.
Thank you.
You've definitely gone TikTok viral quite a few times.
Yes.
And you inject some TikTok celebrities, I believe.
Yes.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So, I'll talk about Erica because she's a friend of mine, and I know that she doesn't mind that I talk about her. So ironically, Erica came to, and I know this may not be what you guys want to hear, but Erica came to me as just a regular patient, like a year and a half ago.
No, Erica
Priscilla. She's like really funny TikToker. She's hysterical. My gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. I follow her.
Yeah,
yes.
She's so funny. So she came to me as just a regular patient, and we were talking about like Botox and dosaging, and of course I was trying to explain to her like full dosing versus not, and she's like, I'm a comedian, so I need some sort of expression. And I was like, oh, what do you do? She's like, oh, I do a little bit of Instagram and TikTok. Totally like went over my head. I dismissed it. Next appointment.
Which I love that, though.
I was like, all right, cool. Next appointment, she came back in and we just got to know each other. And then eventually I was like, oh, what's your like social media handle? I want to follow you. You always talk about your career. And then I was like, oh my gosh, you're like TikTok famous. How do I not know about you? And that's pretty much it. I mean, and, over time, she's definitely helped me grow. Out of the kindness of her own heart, she's posted about me a few times. But I have created like a collaborative opportunity for her because honestly, people that are these influencers or content creators on social media do get like, this is their career. And I am cognizant of that. So I don't want to like abuse her. So, we do have a collaborative kind of situation now, but it really just started out as her just being really excited about me and posting about me. I do feel like in the past I have treated celebrities and whatnot, but a lot of people don't let me post them. So I'm really grateful for those people that are super open to share the Botox and filler experiences with me. And, you know, I think that I really love developing relationships with my patients, not just people who are influencers and content creators. So it really just becomes natural that we develop strong bonds when you're in my chair.
And that's what I love. That's what I love about that story, Denisse, is how like that relationship grew like organically.
It really did.
Like you had no idea who she was. It's so nice.
No. Yeah. So it was a really pleasant surprise when I found out that that's what she did, and then we could like kind of work together to create content.
Yeah. What are your like tips and tricks on how to become successful on TikTok?
Yeah.
Because it can be very like tiring and frustrating. And like, you know, you're going to make a reel and you get there and then all of a sudden you're like, I hate all of this. You second guess yourself. And then you like, you know, you stop. So like, what would you say to people?
Well, I think what helps is that I'm a super extrovert. I can talk all day. So for people that are a little bit more on the introverted side, I could see how it can be really nerve-wracking and difficult. But one thing I try to ask myself when I create content, whether it's for TikTok or Instagram, is don't be selfish. I remind myself, meaning what are you creating? What purpose does it have for your audience? So a before and after, that's great, but what is your before and after going to teach others? So sometimes I write captions or I put lettering or headlines in my before and after photos that will actually teach my audience something. And then on TikTok, same, I kind of try to think about like a tip for people that, and sometimes the things that we create might seem silly to you. Like there was a TikTok video that I made that to me seems so silly. It was like rules for what you should and shouldn't do after getting Botox. Like to me, everybody knows that. And when I created that video, I was like, this is gonna flop because, and I remember I was like a little bit in a rush. I was like, I just got to put something out there today. And I did it. And I ended up getting like 500K views on it.
Wow.
On what you should do after getting Botox. It was, and should not do. It was just, such a easy concept to us, but to the audience, it means a lot and people don't know what to do. So something else that I created didn't go viral. So that's the other thing is don't get hard on yourself when things don't go viral. And that's something that I should remind myself of. I think that's why I've been a little bit in a funk. I just feel like I keep putting out content on TikTok and it's not growing. But that happens, so I just have to remember to get back on my horse. But anyways, going back to what I was saying before about my content creation was I shared lip flip versus lip filler. And that's such a very like simple, easy kind of a thing for us as injectors. But what inspired me was for some reason lately, I keep getting people that ask me over and over, what is the difference? Or they want a lip flip thinking that it's going to somehow change their lip shape. So it inspired me. So sometimes what patients are asking you to during your appointment, I make a mental note of that. And I'm like, okay, this is something that people clearly are unclear about. So I'm going to make a TikTok about it later.
It's so true. And then you can write it down. Don't forget
I write it down.
Yep.
So I have in my notes on my phone, if I'm like driving and I have a random idea, I will, once I park my car, put it on the phone.
You're inspiring me right now.
Yeah. Or even like if I'm talking to a patient and they are asking me questions, I'm like, ooh, this is a good idea. And I write it down on my phone and then I'll pick up and do it later. Yeah.
It's the shower thoughts.
Yes.
Nicole, you like sent me a list of something the other day and literally at the base of her note, it was like these random like words. And I'm like, what is this? And she texted me and she's like, don't bother. That's like TikTok ideas or whatever. But I didn't write it down. I forget.
Yeah, whatever note is open, it just goes at the bottom of it.
Yeah. I know. Well, I would say don't do that and try to put it in like one folder because you're going to lose it.
Yeah. I go back and I'm like, where is that?
You're in TikTok jail, Nicole.
I've made that mistake before.
Yeah. But I feel that because I've been trying with TikTok. So I've been posting. Well, I was trying to post every day. Now it's like every other day. But I get like 200 views. And I'm like, One will take off.
Well, girl,
at least you're doing
yeah,
it.
you're doing it. One will take off, and I think I had maybe like 1,000 followers, and then one of my posts hit, and then I got like 4,000 in one day. That's how it works.
Yeah.
TikTok is not like Instagram. I feel like Instagram is a slow, steady growth. TikTok could be super random. It could be like the 30th post, and then bam, it goes viral.
They go viral for the most random reasons. And also, like, I'm sure you get this too, the comments on some of your videos. Like, you're just like,
oh, yes.
I had a sugar daddy one last night.
Oh, you did?
You're so pretty. I could spend lots of money on you.
Yeah.
Inbox me.
Oh my God. And people are mean. Like there was there was a twin post that I put on TikTok where I shared one twin who had been doing injectables with me for a year and the other hadn't because she was like pregnant and breastfeeding. And I did like a side by side with them, and they were both perfectly fine with me posting this, but the comments were ruthless and
terrible.
People are so mean, and it's tempting that like I want to take it down, but then I'm like, no, I want to stand my ground and show people that the purpose of this post was not for others to be mean. And I'll like respond to people, and sometimes it gets snippy, and then I remind myself this is probably like some like 16-year-old boy sitting on his phone just trolling me. I'm like, let me stop and not get so angry.
It is hard though, right? To not let it affect you, because it really does.
Yes. And I'm so grateful for my patients that allow me to share their work, because it's not easy. And there's been a handful of times where I've posted actually recently, I posted someone on TikTok and it was doing so well, the post, but my patient was starting to get upset because of the comments. And it's like, at the end of the day, I love my patient more than I love my social media presence.
Right.
So I had to take it down. But it's like people like that just ruin it for everybody.
Yep. I do feel like the comments are definitely so much worse on TikTok than on Instagram. And I don't know if that's because we've built such a community on Instagram, and like people that follow us are, it's
also,
almost like a family.
Like bots too.
Yeah. But I just feel like everyone's so much more hateful on TikTok than they are on Instagram.
I think people on TikTok are very, like, I don't know what the word is. They just have no fear. Like there's just no, I don't know. There's no holding back.
Yeah. There's almost like, and there's no like identity to it. Whereas Instagram, it's kind of like your page, your pictures.
That's right.
Some people on TikTok, there's just nothing there, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they end up becoming more courageous, which is really annoying.
Yep. Keyboard warriors.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I want to transition to like another topic, Denisse. Like, what are you like during your appointments, what are you so passionate about? Like during your consultations, is it full facial balancing? Is it the consultation stage? Is it like skin boosters now that we have Skin Vive on the market? Like I know you've been using Skin Vive.
Yes, I have been.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I need to talk to you about it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, what are you passionate about in the room?
I would say facial balancing, but it's more like the patient journey. That's what I'm passionate about. So I want to create treatment plans for everybody. And I tell everybody that doesn't mean that we're going to do all those things in one appointment. And really like getting down to every single detail of what I can do to optimize this person. And this is where my dermatology experience kicks in, because I also focus on skin. And I think that's why I love Skin Vive so much, because I can always find reasons why someone could use a little bit of Skin Vive somewhere. So the way I explain it to my patients is your face is like I'm baking a cake, and the foundation or the batter of the cake is your fillers or your biostimulators. And then the icing on the cake is your skin. And that includes Botox, Skin Vive, energy devices, chemical peels, microneedling, the slew of things that we can use to optimize the skin. And so the way I break it down in my consultations is like full facial optimization with fillers. And then the second part to that is the skin and what are we going to do to get that under control. And more often than not, people definitely could use skin help. So I start everybody with, you're not going to look amazing today after this appointment, because as we all know, skin care and skin quality changes require time. and commitment.
100%. And patience too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, obviously if you have a patient that's, hasn't had anything done, they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they're coming in and they're just wanting that quick fix. It's never going to be a quick fix. And, we all know that it's harder to correct than it is to prevent.
Absolutely.
Which is why prevention has gotten so huge, and doing things maybe in our mid to late 20s now, instead of waiting until we're older.
Exactly.
And just knowing that like our skin is still going to age. You can only do so much injectables and make yourself look so good. You have to protect what you inject.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly what I tell them. Yeah. So everybody leaves with a skincare plan, even if they're just coming in for lip filler. And that's just
that's smart, Denisse.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's just who I am. I can't take the derm PA out of me. And some of my before and afters, I believe, look great because I take my after photo 1 month once they're healed. And then by then, they've been using the skincare that I've given them. So their skin ends up looking really, really good for that after photo.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think that too, like completely sets you apart because there's not a lot of places that do, a full face kind of consultation. Even if you don't do everything in one day, you're giving them those tools and the knowledge that they need to have the best result.
That's right. Yeah. No, I totally believe it. And I've transitioned my practice over to doing full faces only as of late, thank God. And so I think that that's also made my life a little bit easier in just being able to dive right into the full face consultations.
Right. Like your patients are already kind of lined up for that. They know they're coming in for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I also don't overdo it. Like if someone needs a teaspoon of filler, they need a teaspoon of filler. But if someone is 23, they might just need lip, or, they're requesting lip filler, then that's what we're going to do. Because a lot of 23-year-olds have great volume. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like I've definitely done Botox, obviously, on someone in their early 20s, like especially if they have deep lines.
Yeah, it happens.
But like, I feel like, especially over the past year, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds coming in wanting a jawline and wanting more definition and wanting facial balancing at 21. And my thing is, your face isn't matured yet.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably around 25 years old.
Yeah.
Right?
I was going to say that's where I usually,
So I usually say, let's just wait until you're 25. Let's reassess and we can go from there. And I think also realistic expectations too, especially a super recessed chin. Of course, like we can keep doing filler, but I also kind of say, consider getting a surgical consultation for a chin implant. Just explore your options because that might be a more financially, cost-effective way.
I'm not a good businesswoman. I recommend surgery to people all the time, guys. All the time.
I say that all the time. I'm like, I can't sell you anything. I can only do it if you really need it.
Yeah. I just feel like I've had in the last couple of weeks a lot of people that feel like injectables is going to correct an underlying issue like skin laxity or I don't know. Like I had someone the other day that had 10 surgeries before coming to see me for a filler consultation. And I was like, honestly, I don't even know what your anatomy looks like. I'm afraid to touch you. So I just, referred back to surgery. And we also as providers have to understand what our limitations are because it's what's best for them, right? At the end of the day, but also for us, we won't end up happy because they're not going to be happy. So we have to kind of know when to refer. And that's helped me a lot in my career, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, it goes back to, again, social media is great, but a lot of the time recently, the whole, treating half the face with the brow lift, I have patients coming in every day now, like, oh, I want the Botox brow lift. And they think it's going to pull the skin. They're going to have no laxity in their eyelid. Exactly. Yeah. And that's where the education comes in. And you have to have those realistic expectations and make sure you set them because if you don't, these patients are going to be unhappy.
They're just going to be unhappy. Yeah. I've had that a ton in the last year as well, Nicole. And sometimes I say to them, you're actually a great surgical candidate. And the patient's like, well, that's not what I want. And I'm never going to do it. And it's like, okay, then I can help you, but it's not going to be like, it may not even help you 50%. It might help you like 10%. So,
right.
Yeah.
I know in my room, I have that discussion too. If they're absolutely not going to do surgery, I'll say, are you okay with 30 to 40% improvement?
That's a wonderful phrase, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, to do full facial balancing, Botox, Skin Vive, okay, it's going to be 5,000 to 7,000 or something like that. Like, are you okay spending that much and having 30, 40% improvement?
Right.
And also being cognizant, knowing that in a year to two, if you keep up with this and do routine maintenance, treat your skin, you're going to see even more improvement.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And what's helped me a lot too in the consultation room lately is talking about the longevity of filler. I know that on social media right now, everybody's like making it seem like it's an evil or like a negative, but I don't view it that way at all. Because what I say to patients is you're spending thousands of dollars for this treatment. It's only a problem that filler is sitting with you when you don't like the work. But if you like it and you look great, then you don't want it to go away in a year.
Right.
So that's a conversation that I've been having a lot lately too, because of the whole MRI video of fillers and all of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you guys been talking to your patients about that a lot?
Oh my gosh. Yes. They're showing us the video. They want us to explain it. And I do tell them, I'm like, listen, like this person was actually happy. Like this person actually looked good.
Right.
And I think, like you said, to add to your point, Denisse, if you're having issues with puffiness under the eye a little bit or lymphatics, right? Something's not looking right after, years and years of filler, like under eye or something. That's when we can address it, dissolve a little bit, things like that. But
at the end of the day, that MRI wasn't showing us anything we didn't already know. I think it's just that now it's circulating the internet and patients that don't know, the information that we do. It's kind of scary.
It's kind of scary for them to hear. Right. But, if you don't abuse it and you're not like doing it, there are some patients that do this like every 6 months.
Yeah.
So a little bit about Skin Vive, Denisse. Can you just explain to our viewers like what exactly Skin Vive is?
Sure. So Skin Vive, by Juvederm is a microdroplet hyaluronic acid injectable product that is FDA approved to help with the skin's quality and texture. So think of it as like something that's going to keep your skin looking airbrushed, healthy, smooth. It's like a glass of water for your skin, and I love to use it for patients that are looking to improve their texture for a special event. So obviously we have things on the market like chemical peels, microneedling, and lasers to help with that, but we can use Skin Vive instead of if we're trying to get a quick result, because some of those other things can take several months. But one of my favorite tools is to use it as an addition to. So it's really not the either or, but in addition to, I think almost all of us can use a little bit of Skin Vive in our lives to help with the skin's hydration. And actually, there are studies that show that it physically pulls water into your skin by a molecule aquaporin. So they've done a lot of studies to show that it is actually helping with hydration.
Yeah, and it lasts for roughly 6 months or so, correct?
Yeah, I've seen that in practice. It can definitely last a little bit longer. I'm seeing more like 9 months or so.
Same.
Yeah, I've had it done twice, and this past time I've spent like 8 months since I've had it, and I definitely still see the effects of it. So.
Yeah. I think it's going to be something like filler where you don't want to pile it on top so much because then I could see the skin looking boggy. So we just kind of have to keep our eye on it. And I remind my patients that the reason why it says FDA approved for 6 months is because they stopped the study then.
Okay.
So we have to kind of play it by ear. And thankfully, most of us see our patients every 4 months for Botox. So I always take the time to take a quick peek at my work once they come in for their neurotoxin appointments.
And Denisse, how are you exactly using Skin Vive in your practice?
So how am I using it? I am using it off-label a lot.
Amazing. Tell us more about it.
So I definitely do it around eyes, a lot of crow's feet, because I feel like for a lot of patients, that's not something that neurotoxin can fully correct. And it's not something that
Agreed.
even if we wanted to super high dose patients, there are patients that have very crepey skin underneath the eyes. So we know what happens when you full dose someone out here, right? And then what happens to their under eye area. So really for patients that have crepey looking skin, neurotoxin in the eye area becomes difficult. So I found, honestly, just through trial and error, that doing a little bit of Skin Vive, micro dosing it around the eyes can improve that crepey skin. And I almost feel like it gives the patient a longevity too of their neurotoxins. So I always like to do a combination of the two. Depending on skin quality, I'll even do it on the lateral orbital rim as well, with an insulin BD syringe. And then again, depending on the skin quality, I will do a very, very tiny amount in the infraorbital hollows. But by tiny, I mean like less than 0.1 cc total. Okay. It's truly such a small amount. Same with nasolabial folds. I use Skin Vive a ton there for patients that don't necessarily have like hollowing here. It's just like a fine crack. Like I'm actually one of the, just a fine crease. And again, no more than 0.1 or 0.2 cc's of Skin Vive there. Also, I find for chin shadow, some products can make someone wider in the chin shadow area if you use it, or it can look bulky and lumpy. And I find that Skin Vive is like the perfect product to give them that airbrush, but it won't bulk. Okay.
And are you using a cannula?
I am.
Yep.
Okay. So it's going in like the mid deep dermis, which is not right where it's supposed. I mean, technically it's supposed to go in the mid dermis, but it's probably going more in the deep. And then for patients that have submalar hollowing but have very thin skin, if you can imagine like a Caucasian woman that's in her late 50s, they have a lot of kind of gauntness here. And I feel like adding velour in this area can be a little too thick. So Skin Vive has been one of my favorite products to kind of just gloss over. Like I love to use it as like a gloss, like an icing of a cake, so to speak.
And when you're using it with cannula in the submalar area, and obviously you're in that mid, you said mid dermis, is that correct?
Mid to deep.
Mid to deep dermis, yeah. Are you also noticing, like, you're like, wait, the skin actually does look better as well?
Yes. Okay. Definitely. And I know that's off label. That's something I've noticed anecdotally. I use it a ton in the lips for patients that I find it's more like my older patients that are like in, I don't know, their 60s and above that are like super freaked out by lip filler, like kind of like an old school mentality. And I say to them, Skin Vive is just an internal moisturizer for your skin. It's not going to add volume. And you don't need a lot. I think when you do add the full 1 cc, depending on the lip size, it can add a little bit of volume. But if you use a very small amount, like I would say like 0.5 or so, it can just hydrate. It just hydrates a little bit.
So one of my patients I did back in January with, I think I did 0.8 ml of Skin Vive in the lip. And back then I was like, okay, this isn't going to add volume. This isn't going to whatever. First off, for the patient, she actually swelled quite a bit, and the swelling lasted maybe like 2 to 3 days, which I know swelling's very normal post lip filler, right? And it varies per person, but I did notice the swelling kind of hung on a little bit longer for her. But like you said, once the swelling went down, I did notice she had more volume in her lip, and it looked beautiful. Like it looked hydrated. She loved it, and she did not want the lip filler look, but she actually loved that it gave a little bit of volume.
I find that my more mature patients always say they don't want more volume, but then they get a little bit more volume, and they're like, I love it. Like, actually, I'm thinking about my mom right now, who's 71. She was fully opposed to both Botox and filler for a long time. I finally got her to do her lips. Now she doesn't stop asking me for it. Okay. She's like, I love it. My lips. I feel like it just brings them back. That's what it is. Because honestly, lips age. I always like to remind my mature patients of that. I'm like, you want to look younger in your jowls and your mid face and your temples, but what if everything looks youthful and your lips look like raisins? Like that doesn't look, doesn't look harmonious. So I had to kind of remind them of that, and then just show them my before and after photos as well to exhibit the natural look that lip filler can give someone. And if they don't want lip filler, we just do a little bit of Skin Vive.
So it's so true, because if you're treating everything else and everything else is perfect, and then you have your wrinkly lip. I mean, of course, no offense, of course.
If you want a wrinkly lip, go ahead, girl.
All about the wrinkly lip. It's all fine, but things won't look as balanced or harmonious. Yeah. You're right.
So where else do I use Skin Vive? I have used it in the temples before for like patient that had very, very thin skin. And they didn't want something like Sculptra. They were like in a rush. They wanted to see a little bit more like volume there. So I used it in the dermis, or as close to superficial dermis as I possibly could get my cannula into. And I do feel like it helped a little bit. In retrospect, I probably would have used something like Refine instead in that plane, but just another thought there.
Like when you're doing under eye tear trough, you're doing micro droplets? Is that what you're doing?
Micro droplets,
and are you noticing at all like a little bit of swelling after, like for some
patient
people?
Selection.
Patient selection. So tell me about that. Like, I just want to know who the right candidate is for that.
They can't have paper thin skin. It's funny because I have, I just posted, or I just shared one of my previous posts from a while ago where I did Skin Vive under the eye. And I have a patient who really wants under eye filler, and I keep telling her that her skin's too thin. I can't do under eye filler. So she was like, can you do Skin Vive? I'm like, nope, skin's too thin.
Standing your ground.
Standing my ground. I'm not going to do it because it just depends on how crepey the skin is. And sadly, and I hate to say this, but I think it comes with experience. Like, I think that a new injector would have a hard time telling whether or not Skin Vive would cause that edema, unless you've seen faces a million times and you've actually made the mistakes yourself, right?
It makes sense. Yeah. I feel like, so it's basically the more mature, maybe sun damaged skin, thin, crepey skin. That's kind of, they're not as good candidates.
No. I feel like you can do it on crepey skin, but you just have to assess how severe the crepiness is. I feel like mild, fine. Anything that's borderline moderate or definitely not severe, you can't do it. And at that point, I just say PRF. If you're really looking to do something about it immediately, but also lasers, microneedling, anything you can do to thicken the skin, and then we go back and reconsider. But all of this requires commitment from the patient, because it's a lot of work, but there's definitely no quick fix for crepey skin, and not even surgery can correct that. That's a skin quality problem. That's not surgical.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, such a good point.
Yeah,
Denise.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. No, I was just going to say, when I treat under eyes, I always tell the patient, like, are you happy with a 30 to 60% improvement? Because we're never going to be at 100% with filler, especially in the under eye area.
Yeah. And sometimes even surgery can't do it. I've had patients that have had fat transfer into the infraorbital hollows, and they're people that I know that are still unhappy with that. So it's like,
the under eyes are such a very touchy area.
I think we just have to also explain to people that having hollowing is normal. It's normal. My son has it. Everybody has it, and my son's too, for reference. So we just have to kind of think about life being real and not a filter. Life is not a filter. And then for patient, I love this one. Sometimes I have patients that are like, but I want natural, but I also don't want hollows. And I'm like, okay. And then I actually refer to Madonna. I'm like, do you know Madonna's face? Do you see Madonna has any shadowing in her face? No, she doesn't. No. I'm sorry, but Madonna looks like a balloon. So I'm like, you think she looks weird because the human eye is trained to look at a face and see shadows. If you didn't have shadows, you would look strange. And I even take a mirror sometimes and I take their eyes and I'm like, what is it going to look like if you had this.
Denise, don't make me laugh. I'm dying.
It is. It's so true though. Like we're supposed to have, you're supposed to have a little line here. You're supposed to have a little groove under the eye. Like it's totally normal.
Otherwise you look swollen and puffy. And that's exactly, you're telling me you want to look natural. Well,
right. Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah.
Even a little crow's feet sometimes. Like I tell people
guys, I'm the worst. I significantly underdose myself everywhere. Like my Botox, except for my glabella, is a little bit underdosed.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Denise, I wanted to kind of to close with, because I think it's been, I can't believe almost like
45 Look at us go.
Of us talking.
I could talk to you guys
amazing.
for 10 hours.
I love it. Oh.
Let's get dinner next week. Let's get
seriously.
dinner.
I know, let's do it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Wait, are you going to the temple?
Yeah.
Train the trainer?
Yeah.
Oh,
beautiful. Yeah. So we'll see you there.
Oh, we should grab dinner. We should do something, drinks or something at least.
Absolutely.
But I kind of wanted to, if you're right with it, Nicole, close on this. But obviously, you're a mother. You changed. You're now at Skin Spirit as of last year.
Yeah.
So just like we have so many mothers, hardworking mothers, that listen to this podcast, and I just wanted you to share like your experience and like your day to day, like and how it is and all of that.
Chaotic.
But you live in chaos. You function in chaos, right?
Yes. How'd you know? I thrive in chaos, and my husband thinks I'm absolutely crazy. But I don't know. I think so. Ever since I've been a kid, I used to dance like rigorous ballet and jazz and tap. And
wow,
so
that's amazing.
Growing up, my life was like school, dance. So it was like school finished at 3:00. I went to dance from like 4 to 8. I came home, I ate dinner, I did my homework, and that was my life all throughout school. So I don't know otherwise, guys. I don't know. So I currently I don't get a lot of sleep, which is probably what you guys don't want to hear, but my body is like numb to it at this point. I do have a really great support system. I do. I'm not going to lie. And I think that's huge. I have my mother, who's my rock and soul, and she helps me with my son a couple of days a week. And then I have my aunt, who's like my nanny. And she's like also a second mother to me, and she watches my son as well. And then I have my husband. So him and I, he works 4 days a week. I do too. So on the day that he's off, he's with my son and vice versa. So we kind of have like a really cool flow going. And I think that's helped a ton, but it's like a constant emotional battle for me internally where I feel guilty for working so much in my mind. And then I feel guilty if I'm not posting on social media or not doing something for work. So it's like this constant guilt that I carry all the time. But I just, try to remind myself that I'm just doing the best that I can. And at the end of the day, I think my son knows that I'm in love with him, and he's obsessed with me. I am definitely the preferred parent right now. And I do the little things, like it takes me like an hour and a half to put him to sleep every night. And sometimes I get frustrated because I lay in bed with him for like an hour. But, I try to bond with him as much as I can, even though it's not a lot during the day, during the work week. So, and these trips, like I'm excited to go to San Diego, but whenever I leave, I'm like, my heart is split into two places. Yeah, I'm sad.
Yeah.
So, what keeps me going? My mom was a dentist in Ecuador, and my whole life she's been a hardworking woman. And I feel like my bond with my mother is so strong, and I feel like she's inspired me. So I hope that I can inspire my son or any future child that I have, that, you can be hardworking and still have a thriving family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're like making me want to cry right now.
I know, right? I know.
Oh my gosh. That was so sweet.
Just spoke from the heart.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I feel like and I feel like a lot of us in this field, I like function. I need routine. Like I need structure. Yeah. And if I actually don't have structure, I actually don't do well. Yeah. I'm actually just like laying on the couch and I'm just thinking of everything I have to do. But when I'm actually like getting up, doing this today, I have, I had literally every single day I have something I need to do. I actually get way more done.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I'm the same way.
I will say that is my, one of the fallbacks that I have about my personality is I could be a little bit more structured, but sometimes when you have a kid, it's hard because you never know what life is going to throw at you with them, or if they're going to be sick, or if, I don't know, they don't want to eat today. And then dinner ends up taking me an hour and a half as opposed to 20 minutes. So it's hard to be structured when you have kids, but that's something that I actively work on every day. And the good news is my husband is the opposite of me. He's so structured, so he keeps me balanced. And he reminds me of like, this is what you have to do to stay organized, because I'm like, I very resilient. I think that's the word, but I feel like I could be more organized in my life and work smarter, not harder. So I work on that every day. So you're inspiring me, Jonathan.
Oh my gosh. You're inspiring me and Nicole, I think, right now. So.
That's what it is. It's all about balance, right? We find our balance.
We do.
Literally don't want this session to end. It's been so wonderful with you, Denisse.
I it's been such a great chat.
I can't thank you enough for giving up your time to be with us.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. I had so much fun, and I love your podcast, and I can't wait to share this. Thanks for putting out this content, because I know that some of our colleagues will take tidbits of this and hopefully apply it into their lives so that they can grow in their career. So,
yeah. So Denisse, this was so great. Thank you again. Where can everyone follow you on social media?
So my Instagram and TikTok are both at Denisse Serrano, PA. It's very simple.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you so much. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of the Fill Me In Pod. We can't wait to see you next time.
Bye.